Guys, finally he sleeps here. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. This is the first one in a new weekly series we're going to do where we're going to spotlight some of my favorite champions. Sometimes they'll be underrated champions. Sometimes it'll just be builds that are working really well in certain dungeons or whatever. But the first one by request is going to be Teox. I use Teox everywhere. And he is an incredible damage dealer. If you have him built correctly, he is 10 times more effective if you have him paired with a specific champion. For me, it is CHYDRA. I think that's where most people are kind of running these two as a duo, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But coming into here, the reason that he is so fantastic is because of the damage that he brings and that speed that comes from a pair with CHYDRA. And we'll have to look at his kit to kind of see exactly why that works out. So here on his A1, it's a 2-time enemy hit. It's one enemy, but the ally with the highest crit damage will team up and join the attack. They just use their default skill. Damage dealt by this champion and the ally joining an attack will be increased by 10% for each debuff on the target, stacks up to 10%. So now that's something you need to remember. The debuffs on the target, every debuff on the target adds 10% to the damage for this and the ally attack, and that is just his A1. So if you have two damage dealers in the mix, makes a difference. So his A2, one enemy 3 times. Each hit will ignore 10% of the target's defense for each debuff on the target, stacks up to 50. Each hit will also increase his champion's attack by 10%, stacks up to 50, grants an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy. So this is a 3-time single enemy beatdown, and this is a powerful hit on his A2. Still not his most strong though. His biggest hit is his A3. This is a faction ally bump as well, so we'll talk about that here in a second. But this is an AoE hit. Before attacking, places a 50% increase attack and increase crit damage on this champion for 2 turns. So he self buffs before he goes, and then places an extra hit on enemies under any debuffs. So it's a single hit, double hit if there's anybody under debuffs. If you have another lizard man in your group, ignores strengthen, ally protection, and shield. If there are 2 faction allies, so if you have 3 of them total, enemies are killed by this skill while under a debuff, places a block revive debuff on them. So if you have 2 other lizard men in your team, then it is a block revive anyone that this kills. If there are 3 faction allies, so if you have a 4 team, all lizard men, deals 20% more damage for each debuff on each enemy, stacks up to 100%. Again, this is why we're looking at CHYDRA as his mate throughout this. What CHYDRA brings is a passive that places 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns at the start of each round. So before anything happens, CHYDRA at the very beginning just lays poison down on everybody. As long as they're not in stone skin, and as long as the other team doesn't have Marichka the Unbreakable, or someone that can mitigate debuffs landing, she actually, once the poisons land, she puts in a undamage. She changes everyone so that they can't take any hits. She puts a block damage debuff on everybody. So you got to watch on who you're dealing with. But with CHYDRA in there, just CHYDRA and Teox, he becomes a wave dominant champion because remember, his speed increases based on, where's his kit? Where's it at? Wrong button. Okay, so his speed on his fills his champion's turn meter by 5% whenever an enemy or an ally receives a debuff. So if you've got a 4 team, let's say you're doing player versus player, it's the arena, you've got a team of 4 opponents that don't have enough resistance to back off CAVLAX's poison. There's no stone skin. You're laying down 16 poisons, and for each one, he gets a 5% turn meter bump, which means he is going to be insanely fast in arena in this team. So let's take a look at just classic arena. We'll pick a team right here. I just picked the first team up top. Actually, there's no speed aura on that, so let's go on with a speed aura. Here we go. Arbiter. We have, actually, this is a pretty tough team. So you're looking at a massive 30%, and no, we don't have anybody with an aura bump. But we are using, in my team, we are using TEOX's, his aura of attack by 30 and his accuracy by 40, because we don't even need the speed bump from CAVLAX. So we're going to turn this off on auto so you can see what happens. As long as they don't have stone skin, it's going to lay down 16 of those poisons. That means TEOX is up. He is obviously so much faster than anybody else because of the 16. We're going to go to his A3, which attacks all enemies. It's going to put on increased attack and crit damage on him for 2 turns. Then everybody's going to get an extra hit, and as long as it kills somebody, they're going to be block revived. But with the damage that we have on him, more than likely this is going to wipe the whole team out. Except for Ninja, and then we just let it run its course. Because everybody else can't come back. They have block revive on, and his A2 finishes it off. All right, can we find a fast high OVR team? Whew. 4 mythicals. Whew. This is going to come down to whether or not they have stone skin. Let's try this one. No stone skin. Yes. All right, can we take this team out? Can we do it? We have 2 that are gone. They cannot be revived. We have an unkillable and a block damage here. As soon as that unkillable goes away, he's done. Now, he can be revived because we didn't use TEOX to kill him. I feel like we still have a chance. As long as we don't get one massive hit that takes the whole team out. That was the hit that would have done it. And it didn't. The block buffs, or block debuffs buff. There we go. Damn. Come on, I just want to win this. Just out of pure principle. Come on, where's TEOX? There we go. Can we do this before he revives? TEOX? Can we take him out? Please? Damn it. We need a debuff on them so that their block revive holds. But the block, there it is. Done. All right, that was a heavy hitter. So 367 versus a 582. We still had the speed. It's 4 mythical champs. That's TEOX and CAVLAX working together. So let's take a look at the actual kit we have on TEOX. CAVLAX doesn't really matter if you're not using him for damage. So let's take a look at his actual kit. I've got him in Slayer components and Cruel as well as how many Slayers are on them. So we have, we got a 6-piece Slayer kit. There's just a standard banner. Do I not have? I don't think I have a Slayer banner. I have an accuracy. What bump am I going to get? It's just going to go, it's just 15 more crit damage. I would be giving up the attack. Let's bump the stats. Actually, that might actually, let's see, we're going up in speed. We're losing a little bit of defense, some attack, some HP, but adding 15 crit damage and a bunch of accuracy. I don't need accuracy. And I would be gaining, let's set this crit damage. And we'll leave it as it is. The Cruel, we're ignoring 5% of the enemy defense and the increase in attack. Everything's built off of attack on this champion. So this is actually helping me. The Slayer, we get all of the crit damage bumps, fills this champion's turn meter by 5% per first hit on each enemy from AoE attacks. And we're getting a crit rate bump. His crit rate, actually I need the Slayer because I've kind of taken a hit on his crit rate. It's at 100, but I'm trying to push his crit damage as high as possible. So 100 crit rate, 352 crit damage, 6,500 for his attack. So he's not, I mean, I've got all of his gear maxed out, but he's not in like solid mythical gear. There's nothing spectacular. In fact, I mean, we're looking at, this is multiple rares. So we've got rares, epics, one legendary, a mythical. There's one mythical, but there's an epic, a rare, epic. So we're not talking anything spectacular as far as his kit goes. I have Malefic Talon on him. I normally have Cat's Gaze, but I moved Cat's Gaze over to a different champion specifically for the event dungeon. But normally I would have Cat's Gaze on him just for the added bump. His masteries are not full, and the reason being is I don't have a choice here that doesn't screw up team builds. So I'm either decreases the damage an ally receives from the first enemy hit. His champion receives that damage instead. I don't want that. I don't want 50% chance of increasing the turn meter when an ally is attacked with a critical hit because it throws off some of my timed teams. And the 50% chance to counterattack when this champion loses 25% of their max HP doesn't help me in the timed teams. It would help in player versus player, and it would help in overall runs, but for me, I have that turned off specifically for some of the teams that I use him in. Ice Golem, 20. There we go. I've got CHYDRA and TEOX, as well as Nut in here for heavy damage, and Lydia for decreased defense and weaken, and then Prince Kymar to reset it. Let's see how this run looks, because I know CHYDRA and he's going to lay down all the poisons, and then we wipe the wave outs with TEOX because he ends up going first. He doesn't have it on the second round because we just used it on the first, but I think he can still come back through. He's going to get... So we're moving in. This isn't going to be the fastest run. We got procced a little bit. So takes out the 2 minions, and then there goes Blessed Bash from Nut. That was a 34 second. I think we could have gotten a little bit faster. I think that 24 isn't generally an every time run. That's just what we can do. But that is TEOX in a nutshell. One of my favorite champions across the board, player versus player. All of the event dungeons, he's fantastic pretty much anywhere you can put him because of the damage. And if you have CHYDRA beside him, he becomes a complete monster with speed and extra damage because of all the poisons his CHYDRA is laying down. Hope this information helped. If it did, make sure you subscribe here on the channel and then check in each week as we do these champion spotlight videos. Finally, he sleeps. As long as you guys keep showing up, I'll keep making videos.
Finally he sleeps, finally he dreams. In a world of games it seems.